Sooners Nation. What's going on, everybody? Apologize. I'm a little bit late starting this stream.
My fault.
You can blame me, not Jason. I started rambling a bunch. It's my fault, but hey, this has been long overdue. I'm so happy to have you back on the show, guys. If you have not seen Jason on my channel before, please go subscribe to CFB Pod there. One of the first guys to reach out to me when I started my channel on YouTube, and it really means a lot to have you on again. Jason, how's it going?
It's great to be on, man. Thanks again for having me, man. And it's been fun watching you explode this last year, man. It's just been it's been crazy, the wild ride that it kind of started for both of us. I think I was kind of doing the same. I've been at it right about 18 months now. So it's just, man, the difference from day one to now it's crazy, right?
Man, it is. You know, you probably didn't even notice this, man, but I had when I first started the channel, I was like shaving for a job interview that I was having, and I wasn't going with a guard, man, so I screwed it up, man, and I had to shave it all off, which I hate doing. So that was around the time I started this channel. So I started with a bare face. You know, I had like a little $10 mic that I started with. And I mean, look how far we've come. But man, it's been great to watch the growth of your channel as well. And when there's always big time breaking news with college football, man, not just Sooner stuff, man. I love tuning into your shows. It's fantastic. But hearing are you good real quick? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm good. I just only had come in the studio here, so
you're good. But what I was gonna say was, you know, hearing your panel with everything with what was going on with the Nick Saban news, you know, that was great. I'm sorry I couldn't hop in, but before we hop into Buffs, man, I would just love to hear your take right now, your quick take on Kalen DeBoer, on Jedd Fisch, on Brett Brennan with all their new opportunities and the fallout from Nick Saban.
Man, it's a ripple effect, isn't it?
Yeah,
just a ripple effect. So, you know, with everything that's been going on, I mean, we were talking about it last night. It was right at 8 days, you know, last night. So 8 days since the national champion was done, and it seems like it was freaking 6 months ago. You know, that's how much stuff has gone on in a week. So it's wow, man. I mean, Kalen DeBoer, I like the hire. I think it was a good hire. I think that we kind of had an exchange about the whole Dan Lanning deal. I thought that dude's so full of crap, man, when it comes to that stuff. They didn't offer that guy. What are we talking about? So but I mean, you know, and no hate, no shade towards Jimmy Sexton. I mean, he does his job, got everybody some raises. But you know, I think overall you saw that kind of happen the way it did, and then it turned around, and I think Arizona made a big mistake. I think that was a huge mistake letting Jedd Fisch get out of there. I think you have to mortgage against the future, because the improvement, the bump in money that you would get just from making a CFP run, which you can probably do in the Big 12 with Jedd Fisch, versus not having him there. I think it was a bad move. I think it was a terrible move on their part. And I know that Brennan is highly respected and everything as far as the guy taking his spot, but I just think it was a bad idea. And I don't know. I guess Fafita's saying he may stay at Arizona now at this point, or
right now he hasn't jumped in the portal. So them and him and McMillan, but Jonah Coleman's already crystal ball to go up to Washington. So they're running back. So I mean, we'll just have to see. I guess when you're $240 or whatever $1 million in debt, you know, what's another $100 million, right?
I guess so, man. I guess so. It seems so weird to me, but you know, it just surprised me. Is all. It's one of those things that you're like, man, because Jedd, I mean, he turned it around. They were 1-11 when he got there. Yeah. You know, after being, I think, the same the year before, and then he flips it in a couple of years, and you win 10 games. You beat Oklahoma. You know, I mean, come on, man. That's it seems like that's the right. I mean, Yeah, I can see what you're saying here, Viral Authority, but the guy's a good coach. The guy's a good coach, man. You kind of need a little snakiness on your team if you want to be good.
I just think it's funny because Jason, it's just like clockwork, man, with all of these coaching changes. It's very hard for a coach to ever leave in a way that looks good. So the coach that leaves is always going to, look like a snake. And then if you're hiring another head coach, I haven't seen any of the Brett Brennan snake tweets yet, but I mean, he's doing the same thing. It's just a huge ripple effect.
Yeah, listen, and I mean, and you're about to see the same thing with Jim Harbaugh. So you're going to see he's going to run off. And if they don't give that to Moore, if they don't give the position to Moore, which they may, you're going to probably see it again because they're going to go fishing for somebody that's really good from Michigan. And it's a hard job for anybody to turn down. I kind of looked at it I felt like you probably have, when it comes to it, it seemed like to me, like when you look at Kalen DeBoer, he had everybody leaving, right?
Yep.
So it turned out probably pretty good for him because now he's got, the talent that you have at Alabama. I don't know about the quarterback thing, but I mean, you could see that kind of working out. But Washington's probably going to be better for it if Fish is able to get Fafita and some of those other guys that are, I mean, they're loaded up. And I mean, they'd really went through the portal a lot too. And it tells you what he's going to do starting off. And I think if you're Washington, you kind of have to rely on the portal a little bit, right? You can't just expect to, they're averaging around 30 in recruiting,
Yeah. It's going to be important for Jedd Fisch to keep some more of those guys. It's kind of ironic because, I mean, I guess it's between him and maybe Bill O'Brien for like the most successful coaches off of that Belichick coaching tree, and they might both be better suited for college, which I think is which I think is pretty interesting. But I think Washington made out pretty good with that scenario kind of happening, and I guess we'll see what happens with Arizona. I don't really know, but yeah, if Fafita and McMillan leave, I mean, which I'm hoping, you can say that this is a soft take or whatever. I want the easiest schedule, the easiest road possible for Colorado, man, to get right in there for a Big 12 championship. And if those guys leave, things are looking better for us. But let's go ahead and segue in real quick to Colorado, man. What's on your mind? Where do you want to start with? It's been about a couple months, I guess, since we talked when the season wrapped up. Where's your head out right now with Colorado?
Well, I think it's a clear deal that they have the best quarterback in the Big 12 coming in. I think you look at Cam Rising, you could say whatever you want about him, but I don't think he's as skilled as Shedeur.
No.
He's a gamer, so there's a difference there. But I like him a lot. I also think that Jalen Daniels, if healthy, is probably the closest thing to Shedeur, right? But the if healthy part is always a question. I think the main thing is, can you keep Shedeur upright, and can you play enough defense, which it's not necessarily got to be the same amount of defense that you would have had to play to really compete in the Pac-12 last year, because that's not the league you're in at this point. You have some schools that are going to play some defense, and you have some that aren't. But I do believe that obviously with Utah, you're going to have to be able to D up a little bit. Same thing with Arizona if they have any of this together. But I'm kind of with you. I don't see how Fafita and McMillan stay. I really don't. I even think that even if they make it through this iteration of the portal opening and closing, I don't know that they make it through the spring one. Or the after spring one. So we'll see kind of what happens. And what I was saying is there's so much that's happened in a week. How much is going to happen in freaking the next 3 or 4 months? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once Jim Harbaugh leaves, like you said, it's a whole nother snowball effect.
Right. So, Lincoln Riley is not going to LSU. Cracker Mac. I love it. That's a great I love it, man. Yeah. I don't know that anybody wants to go anywhere. I saw a meme of him earlier, actually on our Discord. I think Hank put it up there and it said, Man, freaking Lincoln Riley shows up to one game and the Eagles forget how to tackle. I was like, yes. So that's awesome, bro.
Oh man, but hey, I know that this is off topic, but I just had to ask you, man. I mean, you saw two OU quarterbacks go at it on Monday night, and man, I really do feel like Baker had like the game of his life so far in his NFL career.
Yeah.
I don't think you could have asked a better game, from him. What were your thoughts on that whole thing? What the heck's up with this Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts, man?
I'll be honest with you, man. I've never been a huge Jalen Hurts guy. I think that Jalen Hurts is a hell of an athlete. I think he can throw deep routes and he can throw short routes. And I think that Lincoln kept him doing just that. I think that when they were really good last year, they kept him doing just that. They were kind of protecting him and what he was good at. But I don't think that you can stray too far from that. You either have to throw deep balls or you got to throw short ones. If you throw anywhere from that 10 to 20 range, that's pick city for him. And I think that that's been the biggest problem. He's a superb athlete, right? You know what I mean? A superb athlete. He can run the ball. He can do a lot of things. I think his leadership is right on point.
Yeah.
But I just don't think this will be unpopular, but I kind of think of him like I think of Lamar Jackson. Great athlete, not a great passer, right? Just not a great passer. And so I still don't think that Baltimore can win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. I just don't think he can.
Okay.
And I know that's going to be unpopular.
That's a hot take.
It's not that hot, man. The thing is, it's not as hot as everybody's going to act like it is. But because I mean, you've seen him. I mean, we watched him in that Pro Bowl challenge thing where a receiver hit more targets than he did. You know what I'm saying? And that's without a pass rush. You know what I mean? So, come on. So what? But the difference is that Lamar is unbelievable, explosive. But when it comes to Baker, I think that he's been underrated and yeah, they shit on him, man. They shit on him. That's all there is to it. Everybody likes to shit on him for whatever reason. It's just crazy. See, I told you, it's a hot take. You're tripping.
See, especially on my channel, we got a lot of Lamar Jackson fanboys. I'm part of the club.
I'm a fan of Lamar. I like him. I just don't think that he can win the Super Bowl. I just don't think you can.
Well, sure
if you make him a passer, you're screwed. They're screwed. I said it, guys. I said it. I don't know. Everybody's gonna be mad at me, but
Viral, we are not going down this rabbit hole. We're not going down this rabbit hole. We're talking college football. I'm sorry, and this was my fault. It's
all good, bro. It's all good, guys. Just so you understand, I like Lamar. I am a fan of Lamar Jackson. I think he is one of the best athletes in the world, but I don't think he's a great passer. And I think that all you got to do is just look at all his stats from day one to now.
Well, we can do that on another episode, but
okay.
Let's get back to talking CU. And yes, my friend Alan Woody, there are a handful of us. You'll learn to hate us soon enough.
There's plenty of OU fans that don't like CU, and I get it. It is what it is. I'm a fan of anything that makes college football better. There was a time that I was a big non-fan of CU because I've always been an OU fan. But growing up, it was great watching those battles that they used to have, right? It was great. And you can put that stuff up there. I'm good with that. Stuff don't bother me.
I'm glad you keep it.
Don't bother me, dude. I get it,
man. All my friends are coming in here letting you know.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. Anyway, and I think that I know it's easy right now to take and kill the bus because they won 4 games, right? And with all how loud it was coming in, and then you look, I believe, and I'll tell you that beating TCU in week 1 really moved the goalposts for Colorado.
Yeah,
right.
And for everybody, man.
It did. It moved the goalposts. So, and it's kind of similar to what happened with Oklahoma last year. They went 6-7 the year before. So when they start off 7-0, then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, national championship, here we come. I never was there, but I did think that there was an opportunity to maybe get to the playoff, and who knows, and they should have at least played for the Big 12 championship. There's no two ways around it. They sputtered at the end. But I also think that when you look at the totality of what happened in Boulder last year, just from an outsider looking in, I think that it was pretty clear that they had some issues on the offensive line. I don't know that it was so much a Sean Lewis deal, as much as I think it was maybe it felt like Coach Prime was so stuck on him never scrambling, Shedeur never scrambling, that it kind of hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just, what do you think about that? That was something I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. I mean, this topic is, honestly, what's kept this channel going, man. If I'm going to be honest, because the whole offense, man, it was just so hard to figure out. It's like, we have a weak offensive line, but why aren't we running the ball? And then why are we only running deep concepts? And why isn't Shedeur throwing the ball out of bounds? Like, at the end of the day, like, it just wasn't the right mix. That's how I read it. First, let's start with the offensive line.
Fair enough.
I think that's very, like, we can all acknowledge, man, we did not have the best athletes on the offensive line at all. And the guys that we transferred in, we had no Power 5 starter transfer in here, as opposed to the guys that we're bringing in this year. A handful of them have at least started multiple years at the Power 5 level. We didn't have that this past year. On top of that, I give our old offensive line coach, a little bit more.
He came in with Sean, right? He came in with Sean,
and he came up with Sean. So that was Bill O'Boyle. I call him Bill. None of my guys know their assignments O'Boyle, because, we just saw that there was no communication on that line throughout the entire year. And it was so funny because during one of the Coach Prime episodes, one of our big JUCO guys, you might remember him, Kareem Harden. I can't remember if Jeremiah McCrinnon or Kareem Harden was getting looked at a little bit by OU. One of those JUCO guys, I think, might have been. But all that to say, at CU, and Coach Prime has him stand up in the middle of the season. He says, Kareem, why aren't you playing? And the poor guy, man, he's standing up there. He's like 40 pounds bigger than the guy that we're starting at left guard, man. And he just has no idea. He's like, I don't know. He's like, honestly, I don't know. And then Bill O'Boyle chimes in and says, assignments. Well, nobody knows their assignments on this offensive line. That's kind of how I looked at it. Like, if it's everybody's issue, I think it has something to do with you. So this is going down a big rabbit hole.
You can only do so much with your coaching. Yeah, and if they're coaching certain things, it is what it is. But I think that, I think that in the end of it, the people that want to hate, it's easy to do that because it was loud enough in Boulder at times. And you will love Phil Lodeholt. You will love Big Phil is a bad dude, bro.
And that man can already recruit, man. He can
recruit. He can recruit. He can get out there. And guys love learning from guys that have done it, right? And he's just out of the NFL. He's only a couple of years removed from the Minnesota Vikings. So it's he's the real deal. Big Phil's the real deal. It's a big fan of him. Big fan of him. The thing is that, and what I've said this a bunch on my channel, is that I've been pro Coach Prime from the start. I really have, and a lot of people don't like me because of it from the Oklahoma side of things. I think that's go figure, right? But there are a group of people from everywhere. I think throughout the country that there's either you really like Coach Prime or you don't, and I think that that kind of depends on how much time you spent with maybe your NFL team having hell with him. You know what I mean? Or did he play for your NFL team? He did for mine.
Or in Danny Cannell's case, did he end your career with the pick six?
There it is. Right. Yeah. So Danny Cannell, what a chump. To me, I feel like this is one of those things where if you look at it and you're not, I also think Coach Prime doesn't help himself because he doesn't think it was successful at all. He doesn't think it was a successful in improvement because he expected to win, I think, 9-10 games. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. I think that was a lot to ask from your team. year one. From 1-11 to 9 or 10 wins is pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
I could have seen 6 or 7. I think that they had 6 pretty well locked up if they don't kind of blow the game against Stanford
man.
and you know,
We should have been at
a
least at 6 or 7, man. I
couple of
think
games,
coaching
that they probably screwed themselves on.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
USC, they could have won that one, you know. And
Oh,
then that one, I think it was Sean Lewis's fault. Where the hell was the urgency at the end of the game? Where was the urgency there? Right? I don't understand that. It is what it is. That being said, I would tell you that I think it was a big improvement. You look at it 400% better than they were the year before. If they do that again, then you're looking at, you know, even if at 100% from here, that's 8 wins.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? 100%
Yeah.
from here would be 8 wins. So if you go up 150% and win 10, which is possible in this Big 12, that is really new. Arizona looks like they're probably going to have to take a step back. Arizona State, not very good.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, the rest of the league, I mean, you're going to get tough games from K-State. You're going to get a tough game from Kansas. I think that
Yeah.
those are 2 unbelievably good coaches.
You think
Oklahoma State,
TCU will kind
make
of have a
everybody think they're
bounce
so
back?
good. They're not, huh?
Sorry. I said, do you think TCU kind of have a little bit of a bounce back
They could.
year?
They could.
Yeah.
They could. They did. And they're going to be. I think you got to pay attention to where they are in the portal on that and who they have at quarterback. You get them at home, so it's a good thing for CU, I think, right?
Mhm.
Or do you get them at home?
So let me pull up the schedule. We can
I know that because that was
walk
an
through it.
out-of-conference game. I was thinking of it as a conference game last year, and it wasn't, so maybe not. Yeah. What's up, casting? What's up, Sooner Legends
What's
podcast?
up, y'all?
Kim, all you guys. Thank you guys for all coming in. Viral Authority, Khalifa, sorry, you guys. I should have just shut up about that, but I stand by what I said.
All right, you're standing on it, man. Man, this isn't a
It
good
is a
web
home game. Good.
page.
That's good. Yeah, it's a home game. It's a home game. Good.
Okay. Wait.
Yeah, I mean, but Hank is saying TCU is going to struggle to hit 6 wins. I think that the schedule sets up differently for a lot of those teams in the Big 12, and I haven't looked a ton at, you know, moving forward for the Big 12 in Oklahoma's case because of the fact that they're going to the SEC. But
Mhm.
I got to tell you that the Big 12 right now is a team without a real lead dog, right? I think
Yeah.
CU can be that program.
Totally.
I think CU can absolutely be that program. I think that Utah probably is today. I'd say that Utah is today, but I also think that Cam Rising's only going to be there a little while longer. You keep hearing that Coach Whittingham is near retirement. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me a ton if they kind of fell back. Listen, that Utah before Urban Meyer, which is who brought Coach Witt in, was never really that good at football. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, BYU would beat them 9 out of 10.
Right.
So, you know, this is kind of the way it is. Since Urban Meyer, and obviously Coach Witt's been there ever since then, they've continually got better. But we got to wait and see if the next iteration of this program is going to be the same thing. Now, I would guess that they probably end up if he was to retire after this year or next year or something like that. I would guess that they're probably going to replace him with somebody on his staff, one of the younger guys on his staff, and hopefully he can keep it up. But there's no guarantees about that. You know how that is.
Yeah. No doubt. Another school that I mean, I'm looking forward to playing them next year. It's actually a game that I'm hoping to get out to. With some of my friends here is UCF, man. I know that, you know, Gus Malzahn gets a lot of flack for, you know, sometimes his time at Auburn, but I mean, everybody gets run out of Auburn. You know, I'm not really gonna, I'm
Not
not
a
gonna
Gus guy.
discredit him too much
Not a
because of
Gus
that. But
guy.
how do you feel about UCF right now?
I don't like them. I don't think they're that good. Yeah, I think that KJ Jefferson probably helped them. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think that you have the ability to recruit really well because you're in Florida, right? So you get some
Yeah.
speed guys and stuff like that. But Gus was recruiting good players at SEC in the SEC at Auburn and not winning enough games, bro. I think he's a coordinator. I think that's what I think. I think UCF is a scary program for the Big 12, and it should be, right? Because of the fact of where they are And really, how good is Miami and, particularly Florida, but Florida State even. I don't buy Florida State so much right now. I think that they're really good maybe coming into this year with DJU and some of the guys that they've picked up from Alabama, but I don't buy them staying great. I just don't.
Let's
I
go
don't know.
down this rabbit hole, Jason, because my audience will be interested in it too. What do you think about this whole punishment given out to them with this NIL violation?
Which punishment?
With
For
Florida State, with all this NIL stuff, and like, do you think that has a large effect on the future of the program, or is that a little overblown? I mean, I know they're losing like a little bit of scholarship spots, some money, some funding.
Is that really gonna happen though? Because I think that they could appeal all of that.
You think they'll
And
just send another lawsuit out there? Yeah.
why not? I mean, and I think a lot of it probably has to do with the lawsuit that they have now. Um, it doesn't seem like it's as big a deal to me in view of the fact that a lot of it look, it's they want to act like NIL isn't an enticement. It's been an enticement from day one. And if you're not going to go in there and do something to Texas A&M of all teams, of all programs, and everything that Jimbo is doing, you're going to go attack. And right now, I'm not a fan of FSU, so pardon me, but screw that crap of doing that to FSU. That's not right to do that to them.
They just
If
put
you're
a
not going
target
to
on
do
our
shit to
back,
Texas
man. I
A&M,
just
you
think
got to
so.
be insane, man. It's insane to me. They've gotten away with all that crap down there, and you're just gonna, you're gonna drop the hammer on them like that. And look, man, I see the entire country is gonna continue spending money on these players. They're gonna do it. If you're not in a playoff position or in a position to win national championships, and you really want to, you better be coughing up the cash because it's coming. These kids want the money. They don't just want to play for a coach. They don't just want to play for a program because they're known to win. They want to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get paid, You have to go to the bounce house. Yeah, you have to go to the bounce house. Yeah. I think it depends on that. I think that West Virginia went over there and handled them. You know what I mean? They handled them. But then of course Okie Light went over there and got drug, which that should be a win for you guys. Do y'all have them? Did you have that? I didn't even really look at that schedule where you had
Oh,
it.
sorry. Let me
Do y'all
pull it
have
back
Oklahoma
up.
State?
Man, do we have? Yes, we have them at home.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah.
is Oklahoma State Mike Gundy? I thought he was retiring. Is he still staying? What's the deal with him?
I don't know, man. Yeah. He's gonna hang around for a while. I think that he probably saved himself his job. But I was telling Cody from Locked On Oklahoma State, just when we were talking on the phone last week, that because he was calling it for a while that, he was kind of checked out of the program. For a long time, he had been checked out of the program, spending a lot of time at home doing stuff like that. When they lost to South Alabama and then turned around the next week, and the South Alabama loss was 27-7 at home. At home. And they freaking turn around and go on the road and lose to an Iowa State team that was probably better than most people expected them to be last year, right? Mm-hmm. But there was that little come to Jesus talk that they had or whatever with him and the AD. And so he essentially shows up back at work and starts really taking over some of the offensive duties from that awful offensive coordinator they have. Absolutely terrible. Casey Dunn, terrible. He's the reason for their mass exodus the year before that on guys that, when they were actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. I do not believe that they're going to be that good. I think Ollie Gordon's really good, but I think that aside from him, you have an awful quarterback. Awful quarterback. And the guy backing him up, he might be okay. But the guy that they're going to play is not going to be that good. And so really your job needs to be, let's try to stop Ollie Gordon. Now, that's easier said than done.
Especially for our defense.
Yeah, that's the concern there. I think that's the big concern. I think the questions for CU are what kind of impact is Warren Sapp going to have?
Jason, I don't think Warren Sapp's going to be on the staff.
Really?
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. I'll hide this for now. But yeah, it was like announced by
Man, I'm so
Prime
glad
and
I'm in here,
announced
man.
by
I'm
Warren
finding out
Sapp
all kinds of shit.
that yeah, that it was happening. And this pisses me off because, like I mentioned earlier this week, if it's not happening, like this whole thing has just been handled so sloppy because then you get our hopes up and all this stuff. But I don't know whether it's the university itself or the
Florida Regents or
NCAA
something like that
approving
saying,
him to coach with just some of his
legal issues.
domestic violence, that sort of stuff. We don't have to get into details, on this, but go read for yourself. It's, it's interesting. Well, not interesting, but it's some crazy stuff. So I can understand why this is a very controversial hire.
Yeah,
But
listen, I didn't
right
know
now, I
about
don't
that.
think it's happening.
Okay, well, I didn't think a ton of the hire to be, and I think a lot of Warren Sapp, but I wasn't sure how good that was for Coach Prime. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? For him to have to kind of babysit there and put his neck out there, hoping that nothing happens, because it hasn't been that long since his last arrest, right? I mean, not terribly long. So it's,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to give anything
and I'm not trying to hurt. I'm not trying
wrong
to
info,
trying
but
to
like
play hater here
6-7 years,
because
I
I
think,
don't.
right? Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, in the end, multiple violations, stupid stuff like that. And look, it's well, look, they were kind of raking Coach Prime over the coals before they hired him.
Yeah.
You know, George really wanted him from day one, and it wasn't that easy for them to get approval for Coach Prime. He's not gotten in any kind of trouble.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
we know
This
how
is
some of these boards are, and some of these, especially at some of these places, in a place like Colorado. So it's I get it. You know what I mean? It doesn't surprise me really, I guess. I guess the question would be, how good are they going to be up front is the question. The trenches was the problem, not just the offensive line, the other side too, right?
Yes. I wanted to go through this and let's comment and hear your thoughts on any of these players too, Jason. But let's talk about the defensive line.
Okay.
Before I dive in, I want to say I believe Sal Sunseri right now is still employed. I believe he's sick right now. That's what I think's going on, why we haven't seen him in any of the videos. But he'll be coaching the defensive line. We elevated Coach Dancy to coach the edges after Nick Williams left. But on the defensive front, we have Brandon Davis Swain, who's coming in. I feel like he's more of a defensive end type, but he's a guy that I think could get rotational snaps this year as a true freshman coming over from West Bloomfield, Michigan. But the guys that I'm probably most excited for are, like right around here. Samuel Okunloa was a fantastic edge player last year for Pitt.
Yeah.
I think he plugs in right away as
that
a
was
day
one
one
of JJ's
starter.
favorite guys from Pitt. So
Yeah.
JJ liked him a lot.
Yeah, very one of the best edges in the portal. Helping on the interior, Chidoze Nwankwo, coming over here from Houston, Texas. A little bit small, I guess, what you would say for like a nose guard or whatever, but
he's 300
rated
pounds,
very
isn't he?
well in run defense. Yep.
Yeah, pretty close to 300 pounds though, and he's gonna put on a little weight.
Yeah.
Sometimes those dudes that aren't that tall are the guys that they're gonna plug up that hole though really well.
Yeah,
You know what I
really
mean?
stout.
Those defensive tackle guys, those nose tackle dudes that are like that. That's who you want. And
Yeah,
if he
they
was
got
good
that low
last
center
year,
of gravity.
yeah, absolutely.
But also, I think Keaton Wade, it seems like Kentucky fans were expecting him to become, if not like a very, very like that first guy off the bench in the edge rotation for them next year, one of the starting edges for them at Kentucky. So getting him and his twin brothers coming over here to compete for that number 2 quarterback spot. But twins, they stick together. But those are guys.
One's a defensive end.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah, it's awesome. But those are some guys that I'm really excited for, like on the defensive front. DJ McKinney is coming over here from OSU, who started last year. I think that he's going to be in there really pushing Cormani We have Omarion Cooper there as well. Of course, we know Travis Hunter is going to be starting at one of those cornerback positions. And then one of the last big guys that I did want to comment on, that's I think one of our premier transfers on the defensive end that we've brought in is Preston Hodge.
Oh,
I
nice.
guess, he's counted as categorized as a safety, but he'll mainly play nickel for us. He
He
took
played
I
at
think,
Liberty this last year. Is he that
yeah,
Liberty kid?
yeah, he took I think 80% of his snaps or so in the slot, and was very highly rated coming out. He had a fantastic season
Stud.
last year. Yeah.
Stud. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about that.
I
But
think they know their guys in the secondary.
yeah.
What about Cormani? Is he staying? Is he still in there?
Yeah, man. Yeah. It
Good.
seems like Cormani's put on a little bit of muscle too. So he's been,
Good. Good
he's
news.
been in the gym. He's been putting on weight. He's been taking this thing seriously. And,
Sure.
I'm hoping that we'll see a nice jump. I feel like if players are really, they're really taking it seriously after that first season, man, you can see a big jump with their ability from their sophomore year from their freshman year to their sophomore year. So I got high hopes for Cormani, man. I feel like he's really getting comfortable.
I think he
And
looked good at the end
yeah,
of the year when he was in, right? I thought that he was playing pretty well whenever they played him.
yeah, he still had his ups and downs at the end of the year. I think the
Sure.
biggest thing that he can
You're a
work on this
freshman, but it's
offseason, of course, is the size and all that. But I
yeah.
think he needs to work on his hands a little bit, just because he's still been too easy to lock up with run blocking. It's teams running at that side. It's been hard for him to come off those
Get
blocks.
off
So
of blocks.
improving his hands and also jamming guys up front, for giving them trouble with their release, I think will definitely be helpful. And yeah, that's the homework I give him as a random guy in his bedroom in an apartment outside Denver, Colorado.
Great news about that is that he has the GOAT of all time cornerbacks that'll teach him how to do shit like that, right?
Right,
So,
right. Yeah,
little
I
old
think
team
he'll
out
take
there.
hold to it well.
Yeah.
I think our coaching or our secondary, it's looking strong. The big thing is, hey, a lot of the guys that we've brought in on the interior outside of Wanquo, these guys haven't played much. I think Anquin Barnes, 315
Oh,
pounds, that's great, coming over here from Alabama.
mhm.
But we haven't seen him, man. I think he's taken like 7 total snaps in his college career. Quincy Wiggins was a top 50 guy in the country a couple years ago, number 1 prospect in Louisiana, went to LSU, and I think he's taken somewhere around 60 total snaps in his career after a couple years. So, we've seen this story happen at CU before, where under Mel Tucker, we brought in Antonio Alfano, a defensive lineman, former 5-star from Alabama. The guy never touched the field. So I'm hoping if some of these guys
The only thing you have to remember though about those guys at now that they can transfer, because used to they could, there was such a big that was a lot of it.
That's
And by the
true.
when Mel was there, it was kind of that was new time for the I don't even know that the transfer portal was really as wide. It definitely wasn't as wide open as it is now.
No, it's
But my feeling is
2018. Yeah.
no, yeah, it was barely started to be a thing at that point, right? Midnight Mail. But
2019. Yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
so it was brand new and it wasn't being used. It wasn't widely known that it was able to be used at that point. I think that I would tell you that a lot of those guys that are waiting, they won't wait anymore. But maybe it's just look, they weren't terrible on defense. That was probably what they were best at Alabama this past season. Now, what we're going to see going forward, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
But I would tell you that chances are he's pretty good. Yeah. What you really need is somebody to be in the middle there, anyways. A big body, slow people down. If he's got strength, that'd be great. Anything's better than what they had. Anything's better than what.
That's how I see it, man. That's how I see it. And yeah, I think that some of these guys, they can play rotational roles. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. Now, if some of these guys turn into like really key contributors or starters for us, I mean, that's what we're going to need. We need some of these, guys to really hit in that way. I think if we're going to get to a Big 12 championship, because we
Right.
need to have the depth there on both sides of the line.
Depth is important. My question is to you is this, and I know I haven't, and it's some I was, as the season just got done with it, one of the big deep dives that I was going to do is into that roster there at CU.
Yeah.
But you can kind of give me an idea of where I should be looking. But how old are some of these guys? Because I am definitely of the opinion that you cannot live in the transfer portal. You cannot live there solely forever. I think that right now is one thing. I understand exactly what he's doing. And I don't disagree with it. In fact, I think it's something that you kind of had to do because you have to kind of wholesale change out this roster in comparison to what you had when you got there. I get that. In the end, I think that starting in the next year or two, you need to get heavy in high school if you're planning to be there. And that's the question I think that people have about Coach Prime is he going to hang around there? I know everything that I've heard him talk about. I think that he stays loyal to Rick George and hangs around. Right?
Yeah. I hope so. But
when you see him only signing 6 or 7 players out of high school, it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can take this however you want it, but I said it was so funny maybe a couple months ago or whatever. I'm like, if we barely have any high school recruits and we're transfer portal heavy again, and we have Pat Shurmur as our offensive coordinator, and we're bringing in somebody at DC that's just more of an NFL guy, it might just be a 2-year thing. And I'm totally happy with that. If that's the case, you're not going to find me being one of those sour grape college football fans, getting all mad when a coach decides to move on to something else. But I will say the one thing that has changed my opinion a little bit is they are getting a good mix of transfers coming in here that do have 2-3 years of eligibility still left. They do have a few guys that they've brought in here with 1 year that, will be impact players. So we can talk about, for instance, I think Sam's got a couple years left. So Chidozie Nwankwo, I think he's got 1 year left. I think Preston Hodge maybe has 1 or 2 years left. Will Shepard, who's going to be our Zay Weaver replacement, 1 year left. And I believe most of these other guys, maybe Tyler Johnson has 1 year left, but I think the majority of these guys have 2+ years. And, if Coach Prime, if his strategy is going to be, I would rather have a guy come in here for 2-3 years where they've already been in college, and that's going to be their strategy. How important are home visits then with all of your hires or whatever, if you're just doing, if you just want to eat out of the transfer portal every year? I guess we'll find out, what the long-term strategy is, but at least for this cycle, in the direction that it seems like they wanted to go in, they seem to be executing it pretty well outside of a couple, what I view as surprise decommitments. Amontre Bradford, one of our high school edges or commitments that was an edge, cousin of Cameron McKell.
Cool. Yeah. Cameron McKell, I like that kid, man.
Oh, he's a beast. Yeah. But his cousin had been committed here actually longer, and he flipped to Georgia Tech on early National Signing Day. And then Omar White, teammate of Eric Brantley, still has some legal stuff going on. So I don't even know what's up with his college football career right now, in terms of if it's going to happen. He didn't play high school ball this year. So, we'll just have to see. But I think, as a CU fan, Jason, ever since Coach Prime got hired, I've just looked at this whole thing as nothing is going to happen in a conventional manner with how they go about things.
Facts.
I just kind of approach it with an open mind. Do I have some skepticism on certain things? Yeah, I don't think a lot of this strategy has really been tried to the level that they're trying it at. I know Mike Norvell has done really well in the portal, but I don't think it's been to this extent where we're bringing in What
Norvell's
40
been heavy in
transfers
the
last
portal, and
year, 30 this
so
year.
is Lincoln, and
Yeah.
neither one of them have really accomplished much. I mean, they were so heavy in the portal that you had 20 guys opt out of the freaking Orange Bowl and so it got you beat by 60. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear this shit about how great the freaking culture is at Florida State. I'm so over that. So over it. Over it. So, yeah, if we could just get Caleb Downs, I'd be done asking for players, Coach Prime.
Ain't gonna happen, man.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a deal if they could, right? But yeah, I think a lot of people around the country would love to have Caleb Downs.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, I was telling the people earlier today, I said, yeah, I would love a guy like Caleb Downs to go here, but man, we still got to put a lot more wins on the table before we start being realistic options for guys like that in the portal. Because I mean, I'm guessing he's just going to go to Georgia, right? I mean, that's what I would probably do.
It looks like it with the secondary coach going there to be I don't know if he's in the portal yet though. As of this afternoon,
Yeah, I think he entered the portal, but yeah, man, this is so funny.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It's been so funny, but I got this question here from Sooners Legend Podcast. Appreciate the love, appreciate the sub. I'll make sure to sub you too. And I want to hear your thoughts on this too, Jason. But what is your floor and ceiling for CU in the Big 12 next year? Hey, I mean, you might be frustrated by this take, but I think the floor should be a 2-game improvement. Get us to 6 wins. Like, let's get us to 6 wins. And I think the floor is conference champs. I mean,
the feeling is conference champs. Yeah.
Yeah. We just have to see again. I still think that we're not fully there with or done bringing in the impact pieces on this roster. I don't think we're done yet. The biggest thing is like, have we improved enough with the trenches? Because I mean, we lost like what 5 or 6 single-digit games last year. A lot of close games, and that was with the worst offensive line, one of the worst defensive lines. And I really think it does depend on this hire with defensive coordinator, but there is a lot of trust between Shador, Pat Shurmur, and Coach Prime. Now, does Pat Shurmur give you, the highest ceiling as an offense? I don't really know. We'll find out. His history in the NFL didn't have many, super high flying offenses, but he's somebody that's been on the staff for this past year. There is continuity. And I think the biggest issue between Sean Lewis and the rest of this Buffs offense last year was that there just wasn't alignment, continuity, and trust between head coach Sean Lewis and the quarterback. So you at least have that going on. More continuity, more chance for guys to come into leadership roles because not everybody's the new guy. And I would like to say it's an easier schedule, but man, I don't want to jinx us.
I would say this is one of the tougher in-conference schedules, though.
There are a lot of good teams. I'll pull it back up again.
Yeah, I've got it up right here too. So I've got you got North Dakota State's not an easy game. I don't care what anybody says. These guys win freaking championships at the FCS. I think they're back-to-back champions right now. So you should win it, but it's not an easy game at all. At Nebraska, guys, that's a freaking rivalry game. So that's not a gimme. And I think that Matt Rule's done a really good job there. They started looking.
They were just a quarterback away from being bowl eligible. Let's be honest.
That they were, and I think that they were a lot better football team at the end of the season. If Dylan Raiola is able to look serviceable early, chances are they're going to be pretty good next year.
Yes.
Then again, they're in the Big Ten, so who knows? Colorado State, you better win that one, but you're on the road.
That's okay. We'll fill up that stadium.
There it is. Yeah, it's little brother. You're supposed to win it, right? So I think, Look, I feel like the worst that you should start is probably 2-1. You know what I mean? That's probably the worst you start.
Yeah.
At Arizona, I mean, I think a lot depends on that. We'll wait and see, right? We'll wait and see. But that was did you guys play them this year? or was it just?
Yeah, at home. Yeah, and that it ended on a field goal expiring.
Right, right.
They won by 3. We missed
I
our field
remember.
goal drive before. Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, but I mean, that was another one of those games that, and Arizona started really slow last year, and whatever kind of awoken them in the USC game when they went to overtime on that, they should have
Yep.
won the game. But
It was a
whatever it
great
was,
game.
they didn't lose that. They were a lot better football team down the stretch, So
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's going to depend on what turns around. Utah, I mean, it's at home, but I probably don't necessarily give you a win there. I think at best that's a you hope you can and see
Hope
what
we never
happens.
beat Utah, man, but yeah, we'll just have to see.
Be great. Baylor, you should beat.
Yes.
Oklahoma State, I would think that if you guys have a good start going, I think that Mike Gundy could get awestruck with Deion Sanders, and there you go. You lose. You win the game. You win the game easy. Kansas State's a tough one. Yeah, Kansas State's a tough one. Cincy, you should beat. At Kansas is going to be a hard one. A lot of that's going to depend on their quarterback. Now, they don't have the backup that they've had there forever, anymore. So the health of Jalen Daniels is going to be important
Yes.
because Jason Bean is not going to be around anymore. I don't know who their next guy is. I know he played a little bit against Texas Tech, played pretty good, but it's one of those deals where you need to have them. He needs to. I think that they got to find a way to keep Jalen Daniels on the field, or else you don't know what's going to happen. Now they have a really good running back, but they lost their offensive coordinator. I think that this is a. I was kind of surprised that you didn't see Coach Leipold leave and maybe take that that Washington job. I think that he was I think he would have been a better hire, but that's just me. They're iffy. Texas Tech also iffy. Look, I like
It's on
their
the road, man.
I like Joey McGuire, but I like their quarterback. But there's just something about them. They haven't been getting it done.
No, they haven't.
They haven't been getting it done. And you're at the bounce house, I know. KJ Jefferson maybe helps them a little bit. I'm not a big UCF guy. I'm just not with Gus there. Yeah. I just don't think a whole lot of them. I think they were a lot better whenever Josh Heupel was there, and same with what's his name from before?
Scott Frost.
So I just think that I think that they've had better coaches there than Gus. Quite a bit better coaches there than Gus, and that's just how I feel about it.
That's okay, but yeah, I think that CU's in a pretty interesting position where I do think like a lot of these games still could be very close games. We'll find ourselves in close games. Now, do we take that jump from being a team that has lost a lot of close games this past year to then winning more of them? That's my hope. I hope we're a more disciplined team. I mean, I think we led the NCAA in penalties last year. So it's like if we're able to move like our offensive line from being like terrible to just national average, if we're able to move our defensive line from being just absolutely terrible to national average, I feel like that's really going to help this team. If we can just move our penalties, man, even just up to like, the 25th percentile, man, honestly, or the 30th percentile, I feel like that makes a substantial difference in how we perform in a lot of these close games. So I don't necessarily think we're too far away, but I think that there's a criticism that we made it very difficult on ourselves. Yes, we didn't have the talent in the trenches, but there were so many other things that I feel like we dropped the ball on that we had an opportunity to do a lot better and to give ourselves a better chance to win with some of these close games. Arizona, USC, Oregon State, all of that. Hopefully this defensive coordinator hire, because we're still waiting on it, Jason. Hopefully it's a home run hit, but we don't know who it is yet. But I just want somebody competent. That's all I want to be happy. Have you been competent in your past? I'm going to be happy if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say a rose a day. That Jason Bean's not there anymore, so that's not going to be it. I think that it's going to come down to their guy that was a freshman this season and what he looks like if they don't end up if Jalen Daniels isn't able to stay healthy. If he's healthy, they are dangerous. They're dangerous to everybody. Guaranteed, because Devin Neal is a hell of a running back as well. In fact, they got a two-headed monster at running back, and their offensive line and the way that they shift and move and do some stuff, they will give you a lot of problems. I mean, I'm letting you know the scouting report here. These guys are the real deal. Lance Leipold, to me, he's easy top 3 coaches in that conference for sure, easily. I think he's one of the top 10 coaches in the country, probably.
Yeah.
Is this Aurelius guy? Yeah, I mean, you're. Yeah, hey,
Aurelius one of my guys, but yeah, he did not like the refs, man. The Pac-12 refs, man, they suck. But at the end of the day, Jason,
they suck in the Big 12 too, just so you know.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for it. But I'll say, hey, if we don't play ourselves into the college football playoff, yada yada yada. I mean, my number one priority is, can we please, for the love of God, position ourselves to be in the Pop-Tarts Bowl? That's what, honestly, I think that would be one of the funnest things to be a part of. If we're not going to the college football playoff, let's get to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I mean, did you take a look at all the shenanigans that were going on there with the edible mascot and everything like that? I mean, that was awesome, man.
What a deal. Yeah. I mean, I guess they got to do something to make people give a crap about these bowl games. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys about a lot of this stuff is that I don't know what I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from all of this is that we don't know what college football looks like anymore. We don't know. You cannot judge anything of this upcoming season on anything you've ever seen.
No.
Anything you've ever seen.
You're totally right. Hey, Jason, I got a question for you. How do you see it changing? And I guess I'll lay this idea out here for you. It's probably unrealistic, but I want to hear your thoughts on it, of just how you can kind of fix college football in a way in which, I mean, I feel like we do need a period for quote unquote free agency. I think all this stuff needs to not line up with the academic calendars and getting
stop with the NIL BS. It's got to be collectively bargained. Pay the players contracts. That's it.
All of that.
Until you have an actual contract, you will never be able to hold on to your team.
Yeah. So this is what I'm thinking. Take a page out of what goes on in Canada with major junior hockey, and for every year that they play major junior hockey, they earn a full year's worth of credit that once they're done with their hockey days, they can go back and be a full-time student all for free. Of course, you have to work out the technicalities here in the States, what that looks like with transfers, state schools, private schools, all of that. Mm-hmm. But at this point, man, why don't we just allow these guys to just focus on football? They can take classes optionally if they want to while they're there. We all know classroom is not the priority. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, I don't know that that's what's really happening. I think certain schools are more apt to make their kids go to freaking college than others. I think others have it set up. Look, I listen to Coach Prime on the videos that you see a lot. Everything. I watch that channel a lot. They've got it set up for you don't have to go anywhere. You've got a lot of online classes. You've got tutors that will basically show you and help you through every assignment. Don't be freaking lazy.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, guys. I mean, look, and I know some people have a harder time with college than others, right? That's understandable. Mm-hmm. Athletes should never flunk out of school when at big time programs. Should never happen.
Get too much help.
And to be honest with you, it really doesn't happen unless the coaches don't want them there. I just think that's how it is.
That makes sense.
Lenny's rough on them. Lenny's rough on these guys.
Yeah. I guess we can ask you, what did you think about Shador and Shiloh missing an optional team meeting to go on a fashion show? I actually haven't talked about it at all this week because that's how little I care about it.
I don't give a shit.
I don't care. It's January.
Of all time. This is the off season. You know what I mean? You're just starting winter workouts just now, and it's one team meeting that, I mean, them going to be that he called it a model to go model. They said, you know how much that commercial probably is paying them? Millions. What are we talking about?
Yeah,
You know, and the truth is, Shador's probably a first round pick. I'm not positive about Shiloh. I think Shiloh's really good, but I don't know that he is. I don't think he's the first rounder for sure. I think he's probably more like 4th or 5th round, something like that. And
yeah, I think some people have him undrafted, but I still think he'll get drafted day 3. I still think he will. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I like Shiloh. I think he's really good. I think there's a possibility that he could be really good. I love it that he likes to hit, you know? Love it that he likes to hit.
But yeah, let Shiloh do the modeling thing. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is, what do we want to say? This is the off season, and if it was something that he had obviously already worked out with his dad, you know, yeah, their dad, you guys can love it or hate it. Their dad is the head coach. What do you want me to say to that? What do you want me to say to that? I mean, and if the rest of the team is really that against all of that shit, then they wouldn't be there.
Yeah, you go there knowing that. Like,
yeah.
Man, I just think it's so funny. But you know, these media sites, man, always doing stuff for clicks, man. That's just you know what it is. But yeah, just saying they skipped the team meeting. Well, you know, Travis Hunter and a bunch of other guys weren't there either.
That's clickbait. Just trying to make it, and it works because you've got the haters and you've got the people that love it. So you're going to get both of them coming in here doing what we're doing in here and screaming about it on both sides.
Yeah,
I hate it. That's bullshit. That's not cool. You know, or you've got, you know, or you got who gives a shit on the other side of it. And you're going to have a ton of interaction about it. And so it works for a lot of these media companies. Look at guys like, you know, look at everything that has gone on in social media and on this platform, particularly for the last 2-3 weeks, when Cat Williams broke the internet. And since then, now it's being broken by freaking Jason Whitlock and Stephen A. Smith. This is what we have. This is what it is on this platform right now. People screaming and talking shit about each other. And that's what it amounts to. It's hate watching, or, you know, whatever. That's, you know, some of the biggest channels are just people that sit there and regurgitate what they're hearing about Stephen A. or ESPN, or
it's Jason Whitlock. That's all his show is, man.
No, but I'm talking about everyday guys like me and you, who you rarely even see their face ever. They just run video stream across there and like regurgitate what the hell they're hearing about these beefs going on at ESPN and stuff. It's insanity. And they've got freaking hundreds of thousands of subs. I don't know why I'm doing what I do at this point. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. If we want to really make money, that's how you should be doing it. But the truth is, that's how divisive kind of sometimes you're seeing what's going on with this, the level of excuses you guys make for the elite daddy boy.
Lenny's a friend of the show. He's been here.
And I would just ask you.
Oh, go ahead.
I would just ask you, what do you want? What do you want them to do? What do you expect? I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It's the off season. If this was going on at the end of the season and all of a sudden, you know, they're gonna miss the game this weekend, or they're gonna miss practice leading up to a game this weekend because they're off.
This is March. If this is like real spring workouts, yeah, dude. But Lenny, what I was gonna ask you is who's your NFL team? Do you have an NFL team? Because half the guys on the roster don't work out with the team throughout the year, and half of them don't go to, you know, the OTAs. Half of them don't even go to the OTAs, but they're able to put it together and put out successful seasons. I think timing has a lot.
Have a channel?
Say what?
Does Lenny TV have a channel? Because I gotta watch it. Do you got a channel?
You know what? I never put that together. Maybe he does. We're going to do some YouTube sleuthing right now. Lenny
Yeah, what's
TV.
up with that? Lenny TV. I'm not seeing that exactly. Tell us what you got. You got a channel, bro? There he
Here,
is.
25 subs.
You got 25 subs. He's got 26 now. I'm in.
All right.
But
I'm gonna give
no content
Lenny.
though. No content.
We're waiting.
Come on, man. Pop it up there.
We're waiting.
Hey,
Uh,
you're gonna hey, before you can be a guest on my show, you gotta show me that you go out there and put up some content of your own. Then we'll
yeah,
talk.
hopefully Lenny's not a bot.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you a bot? Are you a bot,
Yeah,
Lenny?
no bots allowed, no
Bots
AI
in here to
allowed.
hate on Coach Prime?
Yeah,
Just
Lenny,
busting your
Lenny,
chops.
you gotta let me know who your NFL team is.
Well,
I
you
am not a
gotta
bot.
put out a video or two, and then we'll talk. Man. You gotta put some content up on your page.
Oh man, Bustin's birth. Hope you're doing well. Come
We'll be there.
back, come back, come back. I think he was fighting through a work injury for a little bit, so we need you back. We need you back, big fella.
What's up, man? Welcome in. Sooner Legends just hit 100 subs. Attaboy, Sooner Legends.
Dude, let's go. Let's go.
Congratulations. You guys, if you like college football history, he is mostly centered around Oklahoma, but I would tell you that he is a college football historian. He can probably tell you a lot about the old Colorado teams back in the day when they started getting real good. Big 8, stuff like that.
Man, I love it. Yeah, y'all go subscribe to Sooner. I love it. Oh, sweet Buffson's birth's coming back this week.
You're cool.
I would love to see that. Surfer Boy 3000. Dave, what did I miss today? See you, Fantasy Island. I've been busy with work, playing games, helping my Dog Nation brother and digging a giant elephant hole outside Tuscaloosa. Man, you guys are working. But, all of that to say, this is, and you probably get a kick out of this, Jason. I'm wondering if Oklahoma fans are like this. I'm guessing probably not. But it's like once every guy hits, announce that it's hit the portal, it's just like CU fans are like, all right, they're coming. Like we're gonna be in the race. Man, I don't think we got a shot in hell right now, Caleb Downs. So that's really just been the topic of conversation today. But how do OU fans handle the transfer portal? And this is what I love about college football. How petty all of y'all are, man. Y'all are so petty. It is absolutely hilarious. What was up with
Petty's not even the word.
Caden Green and the business ratings? Can you break that one down for me as an OU fan?
Which one was it? You kind of broke up when you were saying that. What?
Oh, with Caden Green going to Missouri, and then they're like trolling his dad's business rating. I'm like,
trying to get me to lose subs. Pissed me right off, man. And look, here's the thing. What I would tell you is this. Do I think that Caden Green handled that well? No. Do I think that Missouri had a lot to do with it? Yes. Do I think that, and I think a lot of that has to do with but I also think that, man, again, we are at a time when it's the Wild West, and every rule that these players have to play by, they did not make the rules. The rules that were made by the people in charge that are really the dirty ones. It's not the player's fault. You can be mad about them if you want to. You can be pissed, but what it tells me is you're really pissed because you knew they were good. Right? It's because you knew they were good. So you be a hater. I hate that. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I think that these players should use every bit of leverage that they have because they've been being basically all this money that college football has made for decades. They've never given any of it to the players. And I don't give a shit about college tuition. I'm sorry. I don't care.
I don't either.
It's not enough.
No.
It's not enough in comparison to the freaking money that they get.
Mm-hmm.
That they make off of them. You know what I mean? It's just not enough. But yes, Oklahoma fans are among the craziest. No doubt about it. There's no doubt. They go nuts. They go nuts about guys that decide not to come to Oklahoma. They go nuts about guys that leave Oklahoma. But I mean, I'll tell you, Theo Weiss was there for a while former 5-star. Now he graduated and transferred as a grad transfer so that he could have 2 years more and went to Mizzou. I saw guys on Twitter in his post loving on OU, not saying anything ugly, that were going in there calling him a punk and doing all kinds of stupid shit, man. Just like you hear about death threats. I think Twitter's the worst place in the world, by the way.
Dude, it is just a cesspool full of like the scum of humanity. And I'm on it every day. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not that.
No. I mean, it's a cesspool. There's no doubt. But I mean, if you have a channel, you have to promote it there. So
it's entertaining. It's a pain in the ass sometimes, but yeah, man. I wanted to read this real quick for you, Jason. Buffson's birth saying we used to have those T-shirts in 1987 that said Oklahoma sucks, but Nebraska swallows. We might have to do new ones. Those were the days of the real rivalry.
That's freaking awesome. Oh, dude, this is the beauty of YouTube, that you can say things like this and talk about these kind of things, and this is the fun stuff, right? Look, I don't get as wound up into the recruiting stuff as a lot of people do, because I just think that it's a waste of time. I do. I think it's a waste of time. I think they're going to get who they get, and they're not who they don't. What I would tell you about Oklahoma and how they work in the portal, I still think there's some resistance there when it comes to Coach V. They should be probably. I mean, to me, I'm not positive about this kid, the kid from LSU, the 5-star tackle. He didn't play a lot at LSU last year, but apparently he's demanding top dollar. Depending on who you're hearing, some people are saying that Tennessee has a better NIL structure in place to pay him. Apparently he's
about Hurd. What's his first name?
Yes.
Hurd.
Yeah,
what's the word?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird first name. Anyway, I do think that, hey, Buff, since birth, I'm definitely going to find your channel and you'll have a new sub. So no doubt. But yeah, listen, I think that I want him to get him, because I think that if you've lost anybody there, the Caden Green deal was a big loss. It was a big loss for Oklahoma, because he was definitely coming in there doing, he was coming in there and doing some things that as a freshman you like to see. But I do think that all I care about tuition. I have 60,000.
This is our walk-on quarterback's dad. So yeah.
All right, but Pete, if your guy wasn't, if your son wasn't a walk-on,
right?
I get it. Look, we all care. We all have our own reasons for certain things. Yeah, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, but sorry to interrupt you. I just get distracted.
It's all good, dude. No, I love it. I love the show. This is fun stuff. Yeah, it's fun stuff. But no, look, I think overall, they probably, there's some, they keep saying that they're playing the NIL game like the big boys, but I'm not positive that they are. If that makes sense.
You're talking about CU?
OU. I think.
OU.
Yeah. I think that with now, when it comes to high school kids, I think that they're playing the game that they have to. With like David Stone, they played it. I think they were playing it with Williams Nwaneri. I think Williams Nwaneri's. I think he didn't end up at Oklahoma because his mother didn't want him there.
And Mama Ozark money, right?
Yeah. But I would also say that, yeah, I don't know, man. But they did really good on the defensive line. They got Nigel Smith, who I think is completely underrated. They got Danny Okoye, who is very underrated at the edge position. Jaden Jackson, who played right next to David Stone. They did good. So they paid up and got 5 blue chip defensive line prospects. That's what they had to do.
That's awesome. You can't pay everybody, so focus in on bringing those guys in. Definitely.
You got to do it. And you're going to the SEC, so you better do it. Otherwise, you're going to get hammered, right? Got to do it. The offensive line side, there's a little concern, but Bill Bedenbaugh is generally considered the best offensive line coach in the country. It's going to be now 12 first or second round guys in the NFL when Tyler Guyton goes in the top 20, of the draft in a few weeks. or a few months, or a month or so away. This is kind of how it is. What's up, Tim? But yeah,
How do you? I've been needing to ask you this, Jason, on OU's on OU side of things. What was your impression? Man, I can't even remember the name, man. Jackson Arnold, his performance during the bowl game. I know you had a ton of guys missing. How do you feel about the quarterback room right now? And OU going into an SEC that is it just kind of Georgia and everybody else right now? How do you see that?
There's a big shakeup there. I think Oklahoma has probably the second hardest schedule in the SEC coming in. So it gives you some pause. You got to look at it in terms of they have 4 true road games. Of those 4, you had 10-win Mizzou on the road. You have 10-win Ole Miss on the road. They didn't lose any games there. You have an Auburn team that's upstart at 6-6, but they did really good in recruiting, and Hugh Freeze is a hell of a coach. Auburn, Jordan-Hare Stadium, one of the toughest places in the country to play, period. Mm-hmm. They almost beat freaking Georgia and Alabama last year there. So that's a tough place to play. That's a tough road game. Then you go on the road at the end of the season to LSU. They had 9 wins. That's a tough freaking schedule, period. End of story. You got a home game against a playoff Alabama team. Obviously, with a new coach, we're going to figure out what that really looks like. Tennessee's going to be a lot better, I think. And Josh Heupel is a former Sooner and probably a little pissed at OU. So that's not an easy game. I think the one easy game that you have for the SEC is South Carolina. Mm-hmm. That's it. So my floor for Oklahoma is about 8-4. I think they could do 10-2. And, I think that's probably the ceiling, maybe make a playoff run. If they went 8-4, 7-5, I wouldn't be the most freaked out person in the world about it looking at this schedule, but much of the fan base would be, right? Mm-hmm. I think your first year in the SEC is going to be an adjustment. I'm just trying to, and, a lot of people are, that's sunshine pumping, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. See, Surfer Boy even says it. What did they do to the SEC to draw Murderers Row? Yeah, and while you've got Texas that comes in and they've got a cakewalk after they play Oklahoma and Georgia in back-to-back weeks. They're pretty much, I think that the best game they have is be the end of the year. It'd be against A&M, and I don't know how good A&M is.
Yeah. Because their yearly opponents it's Alabama. No, it's you guys, A&M and Arkansas. That's who it is, right?
If they go to a 9 game, right now their only yearly opponent is Oklahoma, Texas. But they play Georgia. They play Georgia and Oklahoma. But they're going to play A&M in the first season. They're going to go to a 9 game schedule. I think Nick Saban was the only thing standing in the way of that.
Oh, for real? Yeah.
So, because it'll go to that 3-6-6 model where you have 6 at 1 year, 6 the next. I think it's a big improvement to the SEC when they had teams that weren't playing for 10 years. They might play once. You know what I mean? In the way that they had it worked out before with the divisions. Going divisionless like that, even if they were to stay at 8 game, which I don't know that they are. I know they're trying to squeeze some more cash out of ESPN. But I believe that this Oklahoma team is definitely ready for the league. I just think that you've got a young quarterback. You were asking me about Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
There was a lot to like about the bowl game. There was a lot to not like. I mean, he had 4 turnovers himself. The good news is after the first 2 interceptions that he threw, then they had another fumble. I mean, they had already had 3 turnovers, and they were up 11 going into the fourth quarter. Or in the fourth quarter, they're up 11 still, and he throws that 4th interception that turns into a pick 6, and it was an 88-yarder. They were going in. All they had to do was kick a field goal there, and now they're up 14 in the fourth quarter. It turns into a big swing there, obviously. That's a touchdown going the other way instead of that's a 10-point swing at worst. At best, I mean, that's a 10-point swing. So one of those things that it's going to be kind of one of those deals that I think that he had 360 something passing yards in his first start. He showed us things with his arm that you never saw with Dylan Gabriel, and I'm a Dylan Gabriel fan. I am not one of the Dylan haters, from the OU fan base, and there was plenty of those. But you saw things from him that you would never see from Dylan. Never. He didn't. There was no waiting on the ball to get there. They were running, and it was hitting them in stride. He had some big time throws. You got to learn to take care of the football. I think that was the perfect opportunity to get that. It's an exhibition game. It doesn't hurt you. I know you're going to hear different from other people. I think it's a baseline place to start from. Yeah, he had 4 turnovers. Not a fan of it. But I would say that in the end, they had 4 turnovers. He had 4 turnovers, and they still had a chance to win. Mm-hmm. Their defense played better than people really give them credit for. Most of those touchdowns came off of those turnovers. One of them was directly off of that turnover. So I just think it's going to be, Stark Vegas. Surfer Boy. I love Surfer Boy.
Surfer Boy's hilarious.
Surfer Boy. Fayetteville at night. Yeah. They always get beat when they go to freaking Arkansas. They always get beat when they play Arkansas, it seems like. Beat them again.
Right now on your schedule, do you see, man, I'm trying to see, do you think your toughest opponent is Ole Miss? How do you feel about them right now?
I think they're good. And I think that Lane is catching his stride, probably.
Yeah.
I think that if your hope is, and if you were Lane, your hope was to get that Alabama job. But I think it was probably never going to happen this time, right around. If Kalen DeBoer, I don't know, Kalen DeBoer, people want to talk all the shit they want. He's 104 and freaking 12 all time as a head coach.
I know, man. He just doesn't
27-3. 27-3 in the Pac-12 in 2 years. And not with the greatest freaking recruits in the world either.
No, man. Look what he did with Michael Penix, man. He was a write-off.
Nobody thought Penix was worth a shit until after last season. That's right. Hey, man, I'm with you. But I do think that Lane, the thing about Lane, he's working that transfer portal angle that they're never going to kill NIL. I mean, if you listen to him, but I think that they're doing well in NIL enough to the point that they're paying these portal guys. And look, people love to love on Sark. I don't think that Sark's as good an offensive play caller as he is. Mm-hmm. I don't.
Yeah. I would take Lane over him.
I would too. And the reason they're going to call a lot of the same stuff. My thing with him is Lane will go for your jugular, and I've watched Sark be completely conservative at times when he says shit like all gas, no brakes. Sometimes your brakes are on, Sark. I know better than that. I think that his football teams are more dangerous because he doesn't worry about that stuff. He's going to go for the throw. I think he's going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's going to be times that I feel like he's probably I like him better. That being said, I think he's a little immature, and his flirtation with the Auburn job last year may have kept him from getting that this year.
I think so. I'm rooting for Lane Kiffin. I want to see him finally put it all together. This year he has no excuses, man. With all the
I'm about tired of giving Lane excuses. I'll give you that. You got to win these big games. You got to win these big games, bro. You can't lose them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who else they have on their schedule as far as if they're playing Georgia again or not. But I think that if we're talking games, the Texas game is going to be hard. They're recruiting great. It's obviously
they're losing a ton of guys, though.
They are losing a ton of guys. They are, but they're also bringing in a ton of guys. They're attacking that Alabama roster as well. They got their number one receiver. I think that's one, and it looks like they may be getting. It looks like they may be getting Nyblack as well, the tight end. I think they may. That's the number one spot for them.
Yeah, because they essentially had to replace like a good portion of their defense. Their whole receiving core, right, will be new players essentially.
Well, but Amari Niblack from Alabama, he's a hell of a tight end. I think that guy is one of those dudes that you got to be looking at. And then of course they have what's his name, that 5-star receiver.
Ryan Wingo, and I think they had like a 5-star or a really high 4-star this past year that
their number one receiver is going to Texas as well. They're going to reload there, right?
Yeah.
They're going to reload there, and I think they're going to be okay on offense. Defensively, I don't know that I trust that they're going to stay that good. They lost one of their best coaches there too. So they lost Tavondre Sweat. They lost the other stud on the D line. Not to say that they haven't been recruiting well there, but I think it's just they don't have a ton of experience in some places that you probably need to, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one of you plan on attending Georgia versus Texas. Good luck finding a place to stay there. Coach I already was looking for places to stay. He's gonna have to stay in San Antonio.
Hey, not too far away.
And I mean, he was planning that a month and a half ago, so that was pretty wild stuff. Or when they put the schedule out, which is a month ago. So yeah, listen, I think that in the end, Mizzou lost their whole defensive staff. I don't trust Mizzou, guys. Dude, Eli Drinkowitz, come on.
Oh, are they all at LSU now? Is that what happened?
Yeah, the whole defensive staff is pretty much. And that's all these guys that are going there, like I wouldn't be that surprised about Williams when they're splitting on that after a year or whatever. I don't buy it. I don't buy Mizzou, man. I'm sorry. These are, to me, they're like Okie Light. They win 1 out of 10 against Oklahoma. I cannot worry myself about Missouri. Sorry, it's mid-zoo. Mid-zoo. Period. So, it is what it is, man. Your son lives in Austin, Surfer Boy? Yeah, that's good. Really cool game.
Much and as then I you can see Bevo go after the little bulldog again. That was kind of cool. I like those little
Sugar Bowl that year.
Yeah,
that was awesome. That was freaking awesome.
I want to see Bevo and Ralphie get up with it, but our Ralphie we got right now might get trampled by Bevo. Bevo's probably a little slow, but like I said, we have to go to the transfer portal for a new Ralphie. That's what we got to do
for a new Ralphie.
Yeah. This Ralphie just did not give a shit, man.
She wilding out a little bit.
Yeah, she would just gallop out there, maybe get to the 30-yard line, then
shut it down.
Back. She just is not interested. But you know what? We got Trojan horsed, man. We got totally Trojan horse because this Ralphie was born in Nebraska. That's just what it was, man. So I'm hoping we can get a new Ralphie, and we'll see where it all goes. But
what are they doing receiver wise at CU right now? What are they? I mean, who have they kind of come into? Because I know you kind of lost some guys, right? I mean, it seems like
we didn't lose anybody really that important outside of probably our best, most consistent wide receiver we had this year, which was Xavier Weaver. He was out of eligibility, so he'll be going off to the NFL. I think a lot of people, from what I've seen, kind of see him as a 3rd, 4th, 5th round guy, depending on how he tests. Yeah, had a great year. So we have Will Shepard filling that role coming in here from Vanderbilt, which is going to be great. And then we also brought in some competition for Jimmy Horn in the slot. I'm a fan of Jimmy Horn. I like him too. He did lead the team with 8 drops this past year, so I think that's why we brought in a little bit of competition.
Focus is important for him, right? It seems like he needs to stay focused a little more sometimes. But when he's what I liked about what Coach Prime did with him, and I know what's his name TV was saying that the way that Prime handles everybody and his kids. I saw things that he did with some of these other guys that Jimmy dropped that big catch that he should have had against USC, right?
Yeah.
And coach didn't eating him up. He's out there hugging on him, telling him he loved him and believed in him. He ends up making a big play later on that you needed him to make. Mm-hmm. Right? I think that it's important.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I think that it's easy to sit here and nitpick at the stuff that we're talking about with with Coach Prime and his kids being there. Simple, easy to do. He loves his sons. Should love his sons. I've seen him also do that with other players. I've seen him do that with Cormani McLean when a lot of people wanted to throw more Cormani down the freaking road last year, midway through the season, get him the fuck out of here. And he's a freshman.
Right. You forget these guys.
It's like, come on, bro.
They're 18, man. But yeah, like circling back, we brought in LeJontay Wester, who had over 1,100 yards receiving at FAU, and his brother's also going to come and play linebacker here, which I think he slots in as a starter here. But yeah, Wester, he's another really speedy, shifty guy, and him and Jimmy, man, they got their work cut out against each other for that starting slot position. We did bring in
depth is important, though, dude.
Yeah,
depth is important.
And then with Travis Hunter and Will Shepherd leaving next year, kind of the next guys that are going to be those go-to wide receivers. One guy that we had here this past year, Omari Miller, he had over 200 receiving yards against USC in that game. I'm hoping we see some more from him this year, but it was a true freshman. And then we've also brought in a guy that's also going to be a sophomore, Baby T.O. Why am I forgetting his real name right now? But a top 100 guy, wide receiver that was at TCU this past year. Come on, guys. Chat, help me out. I talk about him. But yeah, I think Wester starts over Jimmy Horn right now, which might be an unpopular opinion.
Dylan Edwards in space to make an impact. I like Dylan Edwards a lot.
Yeah, I like Dylan Edwards too. And why can't I find
it seems like
Cordell Russell,
by him in
6'4", 210. He was rated a 95 coming out of high school. 12th wide receiver in the country, 65 in the nation a year ago, 11th best player in Texas. So that's kind of really our top 6 wide receivers that we got this year. So I feel good where we're at there. Again, it really just comes down to can the guys that we brought in from Indiana, Houston, Jeremy Mayers from UTEP, everybody on the offensive line, Jordan Seaton. How does that whole thing play out? I think that's really the key to how far this team goes is the offensive line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Draylon Miller from I like that kid too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got Draylon Miller and Cam McHale, man. We got both of those guys. Which, I mean, Miller, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if those guys get a little bit of snaps this year. But yeah, we're in the place right now where I don't think we need to rely on them, which I think, again, you never want to put too much pressure on freshmen coming in, right? But those are also long-term pieces where, you could say bringing those guys in. Totally forgot. I feel
you're talking about Cordell Russell from TCU. Is that who you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Big guys, 6'4", 210. We didn't have any guys. Yeah. Yeah. With his size last year. So that's going to be really nice.
Yeah. Look at Will Shepherd. Yeah. Okay. Now, who was the guy that you lost, though? I think he was one of our guys, one of the Texas dudes that we work around some.
Oh, you're thinking about Aaron Butler. Yes.
The tight end?
No. Oh, you're thinking about Michael Harrison. He was a walk-on. He went to San Diego State. We brought in Shimon Mateer from Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think he'll be good. It seems like he's a little bit more of a well-rounded tight end, good red zone threat, can block, and I think Pat Shermer will be using him quite a bit. So
it is Pat's going to be the OC, huh?
Yeah, that's all official. So we'll see how it goes. Again,
how I feel about that one. Not sure how I feel about that one. I don't know.
It's not the sexiest hire. That's
but if it makes Coach Prime happy, I think that's what you have to really do. And
they trust him. That's really it.
Can they do something? Yes. Is Coach Prime going to be happy with the way he calls the game? Number one. What's up, Bishop Frank? And then does Shador like him? That's the question. If Shador likes him,
yes,
you're good. right?
So you did not like Sean Lewis.
You've seen guys talking about it in here. Lenny was talking about, you gotta find a way to get Dylan Edwards in space. I agree 1,000,000% on that. Dylan Edwards is a freaking problem when you get him in space. And it felt like that they forgot about him at times throughout. I mean, I watched most of their games. I mean, there was
Oh, man.
why is
Yeah.
Dylan Edwards not getting the football?
Dude, I got a laundry list of, like, why are we using or not using certain players the way we are? There was just so much
Xavier Weaver they would
confusion.
forget about sometimes last year. You're like, "What the hell? The dude's wide open. He's the biggest target you got out there. Why are you not throwing him the ball?"
Why are we leaving Dylan Edwards to pass protect when we have Cavassier Smoke on the bench? I didn't get it.
Did Cavassier Smoke leave?
He was out of eligibility, man. I feel bad for him.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cavassier was good. And it seemed like he didn't get enough love, enough run.
No, man. I mean, I think he had, like, a total of, like, 4 or 5 carries on the whole year. Like
LaMichael James, yeah.
Yeah, we just
I don't know that I would call him LaMichael James yet, their viral authority, but, you know,
I'll go a step further. Reggie Bush, baby.
Wow.
That's what I'm hoping.
That's a tall task, man. That's a lot for him to be that guy.
I won't put it on him.
Madam Air is better and can actually block, K Vizzy says.
Yeah. Who's the return specialist this year? Yeah, because Zay Weaver did it for us. I would guess it's probably Dylan Edwards that does it, but
maybe Dylan.
Yeah. I don't know. We got a handful of guys that can do it.
Speed
LaJohntay West can do it.
Dude's doing it, man.
Yeah. Jimmy Horn can do it.
Don't put Travis Hunter back there.
Nope.
That's the question I got. Is Travis going to play every freaking snap on both sides this year? Because I don't think that's a great idea. I think it's a terrible idea.
Regardless of what you think, I think his snap count's going to average probably around between 90 and 100 snaps.
Oh,
they're going to use him the same way this next year.
Yeah, but he had 150, 160 in some games, man.
And that can't happen. Yeah, with Stanford. And at that point, yeah, you're just gassed. But yeah, I think you'll see him play around 100 snaps a game or so. But Jason, I'm sorry, man. I got to start cutting this off. I know we went way longer than I said as usual. You know, that's how we do this thing. But
yeah, we did.
Really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no worries, brother. I enjoyed it. It's always fun to talk ball with David. And dude, anytime, man, you want me to come on, I'm happy to do so. We got to get you in here on our show as well. Guys, come and check us out at Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the coach as well. If you're not on our channel, come check us out. We talk a lot of ball about everything. It's not just I probably should do more just OU content, but a lot of our live streams, you're going to see that we're going to talk to different creators from different places, and we talk about everything. So love college football, love talking college football with everybody. You know, I got a boo in here? Nice. I love it. That's awesome.
I love the internet, man.
I do too. All right, but yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited about the season coming up. I think that, like I said, get ready for. You don't know what the hell is going to happen. Yeah, Surfer Boy, come over, man. Come over anytime. It's at CFB-pod. At CFB-pod.
You guys gotta go. Jason it's fucking awesome, man. Y'all gotta tune in, especially, man, when you got dude, I don't even know the coach's real name. I just know him as the coach. You know, when he's there crying about Notre Dame, like that's always entertaining. So
thank you very much for saying that. But I mean, I've enjoyed your show so much as well, man. You've got some cool guests that keep coming on, and you guys talk. I love just popping in and seeing where you're just kind of talking to your folks, and just you're a funny dude, man. You make me laugh.
Hey, man. Well, hey, I will put in a plug, man. If you ever need me, or if you ever want to connect with Rawhide, I know he's trying to get out there a little bit more and connect with some greater college football people. So Yeah, I'll connect you to, or maybe we can do a little panel, which would be hilarious. But
Absolutely, man. Let's have
yeah,
some fun. And that's what it's supposed to be, man. We're doing this for a lot of people are taking this so serious, man. It's fun stuff. We're talking about college football. You know,
no doubt.
let's just have some fun with it or whatever. Thanks, guys. If I'll for sure get over there and check out Bustin's Birth as well. Surfer Boy, welcome to come in. We're excited to see it. Like I said, Lenny, put out some content, man. We'll have you on after
Yeah,
that.
come on, Lenny. Come on now. You can't talk all that game behind
Come
that
on, man.
keyboard.
Anytime.
Not
Anytime.
putting out some content.
Yeah. Yeah. Just got to make sure you're not a bot. Put out some content.
Yeah.
We'll see what's
Yeah.
up. But yeah. Hey guys, appreciate you though, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. It's good stuff.
Man, I love it. Well, great. Well, thanks again, guys. It was great to see so many of y'all in here from Jason's channel. Again, shout out to so many of my fans and community members here. Man, I love it. I'll give you the horns down, man, as we sign off. Sco Buffs, you know, good luck with everything Sooners. We'll talk again soon, Jason. And as always, everybody, Sco Buffs.
Sco Buffs.
All